folks in Kyiv and Odessa, can't forget about those folks. Russian strikes happened overnight, killing at least 8, including children, amid ongoing escalation. Putin, I thought we had a good talk. I thought we had a really good... listen, I don't normally get calls from the Russian president, but last night he gave me a ring and I said, Vladimir, you know that this is not the move. You know you're unpopular enough. A man like Putin hasn't been bopped in years, quite frankly. Your own civilians, they might be a fan of you because you control the media, but like if you keep escalating this war, if you keep sending their brothers to fight, if you keep trying to bring us to the negotiating table with the bodies of your own soldiers, I don't see it going well for you. And he says, well, Ollie, you have to listen. We are entitled to this land. It has been promised to us, Luhansk and Donetsk. And I said, listen, Vlad, you can sign away. They will sign away Luhansk and Donetsk. Those are mostly Russian-speaking provinces. They are like, listen, you have an argument, absolutely, for those certain regions, but the best way we can handle this is if you go ahead and you just hold on to those missiles. And he took a minute, he took it in, and he was just sitting there and he was thinking to it, and he was like, Ollie, you might be right. And I was like, I am right, Vlad. Every time, you know this, I encouraged you to only send in 40,000 troops because you weren't looking to invade. You were just looking to bring him to the negotiating table. And he was like, yes, you were right. So we had that beautiful talk, and I was feeling good after it. I was like, oh, I really got through to him. I feel like we're moving somewhere, you know what I mean? I have another, Bashar al-Assad I got to speak to in a couple hours and whatnot. I feel good that I was able to help save some of the people. And then I wake up to this and I go and then I tried to give him a call. He's ignoring my calls. I think he's screening my calls, and I'm really upset about it. You know what I mean? I'm going to stop pushing Russian talking points if you don't answer my calls here, Vlad. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, we really need to sort this out. I really tried to help you because, listen, Russia attacks on Kyiv and Odessa have killed at least 8 civilians, underscoring the intensifying violence of the conflict and its growing humanitarian toll. By striking residential neighborhoods rather than military targets, these assaults deepen the humanitarian emergency unfolding across Ukraine. Entire families have been displaced, buildings reduced to rubble, and survivors are left grappling with the trauma, uncertainty, and loss. Civilian infrastructure such as homes, schools, and medical facilities remains increasingly in danger as strikes become more frequent and less predictable. So you could be hanging out in Babylabastan and you'll be gone. Your teacher, Miss she will be telling you about how the Ukrainian people, they speak their own language, they're unique, and she will just and your entire classroom will be gone in a cloud of smoke. These attacks further strain Ukraine's already overburdened emergency and health systems. Hospitals are struggling with limited resources as they treat rising numbers of wounded civilians, while power outages and damaged transportation networks complicate the rescue operations. You know, if you're on a ventilator, oh my God, haven't heard that since 2020. But if you're on a ventilator and you just so happen that hospital gets Jason comes by and he cuts the power to kill everybody in it, you're done. I'm sorry, you're cooked, it's over. Guys, this is adding a lot of additional pressure to the host communities and aid providers, the people that are taking in the Ukrainians, many of whom were already operating at capacity. Their humanitarian organizations are warning that the displacement will increase as families flee urban centers that are now being targeted by long-range strikes. At a diplomatic level, the latest escalation complicates peace efforts that we were talking about. I remember Anchorage, Alaska. Remember when idiots thought that was going to mean anything? Well, it has also increased for the calls for sustained military and humanitarian support to Ukraine. You know what I mean? I told Vlad this. I went, listen, if you send more people into it, you're just going to convince more senators that we have to defend this outpost of democracy. When it's not even really a democracy, what you can do is you can attack him for being an unrepresentative democracy. I mean, it'll sound like nothing coming from you, but listen. And then he just was like, don't bother me with it anymore. And I was like, oh, fine, whatever. It sucks. Meanwhile, European governments face growing pressure to bolster air defense systems in Ukraine while simultaneously preparing for potential instability within their own borders. Overall, this is just, it's an immediate tragedy. Let's take a look at this footage. Just views of the city. There it is. Woo! Vlad, this was not the move. And then, look, this is like an overshot of the city. Kind of calm, kind of peaceful. Off in the distance, you see this orange cloud erupt. The sound hasn't even hit it yet. There it is. This is pretty nuts, guys. Thank you, the Associated Press. I appreciate it. Oh, there we heard it. That took quite a few minutes for it to get there. Well, that's fascinating, isn't it?
As Russian attacks hit Ukrainian energy infrastructure, causing rolling blackouts ahead of winter, a major corruption scandal involving the state's nuclear power company is putting top Ukrainian officials under scrutiny. This week, Ukraine's anti-corruption watchdogs came out with the fruit of a 15-month investigation that involved 1,000 hours of wiretapping. The result is one of the most severe crises to hit the government ever since the full-scale invasion. A network of individuals with close ties to top officials and influential figures, including an associate of President Zelensky, were involved in concocting a scheme in which they pressured contractors of Energoatom in order to extract up to 15% in kickbacks. At least $100 million have been laundered under this scheme, investigators found. Now, more shocking details will likely emerge as this goes to trial. Already, the ministers of justice and energy have resigned under Zelensky's urging. But as we get more details, the question lingers, how far up did the corruption go? Recall, the anti-corruption agencies that came out with this investigation, Zelensky tried to defang them earlier this summer, which called...
And dude, this is one of the cringiest things, is you'll have moms, literally 30, 40-year-olds going, Zelensky, he's a real man. He sticks behind his country. He's a real man. He's a real gentleman. And I'm like, oh my God. This guy, the fact that he's, running around, grabbing people off the streets, forcefully conscripting them. No one wants to talk about it. Hasn't held an election in over 2 years when it was requested so that he do, and his people have been calling for it, banning Christianity in certain regions, banning Russian books, Russian languages. It's a little much. He's taking a little inspiration from his neighbor to the north, Belarus, as far as I believe. But, no one wants to talk about that because they have a Ukrainian flag on their balcony, and that's the end of the conversation. Ukraine is a democracy, and I'm not going to look into any of their behaviors. I'm just going to say that I want to defend an outpost of the West. I want to defend an outpost of democracy that really isn't a democracy. It really isn't a democracy. Folks, question everything. Question everything that these people will try to serve you.